All right, so we're going to do a little brief quiz here. It's not going to be super detailed unless you have some questions on some of these problems and we want to hit a bunch of them. So again, like I said, I haven't even made the quiz up yet. I'm going to make it up tonight. So maybe you can help me figure out some good problems to put on here. We're not going to put out the easiest problems, but we'll put some. All right, so what I'm doing is I'm just looking at 4-1. So you might want to do it as well, okay? So open your books to 4-1, and let's go through here and see what kind of stuff I might put on a quiz. Okay? No, you've had all this time. So, like, look at 9, 10, 11, 9 through 14. So section 1, 9 to 14, where it says state the dimensions of the matrix. That should be easy. Dimensions of the matrix. I might have one. Might even be too easy, but it's definitely something that is good to know how to do. So let's take a look at number 10. I'm not going to write out the whole thing. It'd take me forever to write out every single matrix that we talk about here. So if you have your book open to number 10, if you look at it, it's got how many? It's got row, right? So it's got 2 rows, and it's got how many? 1, 2, 3, 4 columns. So it's got 2 rows, 4 columns. What do we call this? The dimensions. It's a 2 by 4, okay? Because remember, it's always rows times columns. So how many rows we have is the numbers across this way, and this is 1 row, that's a second row, that's 1 column, 2, 3, 4 columns. It's a 2 by 4. All right, pretty easy. Yeah, I might as well give you something like 15 to 20. Well, 15 to 17. I guess I will have to write this matrix down to do this correctly. All right, read them off to me. 1, 4, 9, 2, right? What's the next row? 7, 3, 5, 11. Okay, third row? 8, 19. And last row? Oh, it's only 3, right? Yeah. Okay, so I don't know. What do you want to do? 15, 16, or 17? Let's do 16. All right. So 16 says find the value of each element at B3, 2. So B3, 2. Now this is capital B. This is a matrix. So this is what it looks like. That's why they use the little b right here, because this is matrix B. And so what does this mean, this 3 and this 2 right there? That means row and column. So row 3, which is right here, and then the second column, which is right there. So what is it? It's 12. So I might ask one like that. It's hardly worth even writing all that stuff out, typing all that out on a quiz, isn't it? Just for the super easy answer like that. So maybe I will, maybe I won't. Just depends on how many questions. There's going to be 10 questions. There's always 10 questions on a quiz, but depending on like how many from the latter stuff, the later stuff that we did. All right, and then this says, let's do 19 now, and it says which element has the given value. So they put 19. So if you look on here, where's 19? It's right there. So what would you say? You go the opposite, right? It's B, and then what? 1, 2, 3. So it's what? 3, 4. So this doesn't mean 34. It means what? Row 3 and column 4. So this 19, so they ask you, where is 19 located? Well, it's in the third column, the fourth row, 3, 4. That's what we call it. Does that make sense? Yes? Yep. Okie doke. All right, let's, anything else on there? I'm not going to do one of those graph things. Yeah, I'm not going to put that. It's too much to put on there, okay? I doubt I'll do one of those. I doubt I'll do one of those coordinate graph things as well. All right, so don't worry about that on the quiz. All right, let's skip over to 4.2. because I only have 10 questions I could put on there. So I got to pick and choose which ones. All right, so 4-2, we're actually doing a little bit of math. 4-1 wasn't much. So if we have 3 or 4 questions on the 4-1, that'd be probably more than enough. All right, let's look at 4-2. So 4-2, isn't that just the addition and subtraction, correct? So I'll probably give you a couple of different dimensions where you have to add. And let's see, what else? It says perform the indicated matrix operation. Oh, okay, I see. Yeah, and you do a little bit of multiplication, but you multiply by a what? What kind of number? We have a special name for it. When it's just a regular number and it's not a matrix, what do we call that? So if you have a regular number and it's being multiplied by a matrix, what's that regular number called? It does start with a C, or I'm sorry, with an S. It's a what? It's a scalar. Scalar. All right, we call it a scalar property. If when you get into physics, they talk about scalars and vectors. So there'll be other times where you talk about the word scalar. All right, let's do a super easy one. Not all going to be quite this easy, but we're just trying to figure out how you do this. What has to be true if you're going to add 2 matrices together? They got to be the same dimensions. That's right. They have to be the same dimensions to be able to add them together. All right, so this is really easy. Oh, it's almost embarrassingly easy, but that's okay. So what do? You just memorize, or not memorize, but you just you take that and you multiply, or you add it. I keep saying multiply. You add it to the element that's in the same place. All right, so it's going to be 5 plus what? 1, which is 6. I'm not going to write the 5 plus 1 down, right? But you can see it. And then the 2 plus 7 is a 9. The 3 plus 2 is a 5. The 1 plus 6 is a 7. And there you go. That's how you add matrices. Pretty simple, isn't it? Yeah, about the easiest thing you can do with matrices is add them together. Obviously, what if you had subtraction? Just so I don't have to write another problem down. What if we did this? What if we put minus? Be the same thing, except you're just subtracting, right? So 5 minus 1 is 4. 2 minus 7, negative 5. 3 minus 2. I'll tell you what, let's throw a negative in there. So 3 minus 2 is 1. And then 3 minus what? Negative 6 is 3. Oh, sorry, that's right, it's 1, thank you. It's 1 minus negative 6. It's 1 plus 6, which is 7. Okay? All right, easy. Here's another easy one. What if we multiply a matrix by a scalar? This is what I was talking about earlier. So 2, negative 3, 4, negative 1. Again, just about as easy or easier than doing this. All right? If this is just a regular old number, it's not a matrix, I can multiply that regular number by everything inside of here. I mean, no big deal. So 5 times everything inside of here. So that gives us 10, gives us negative 15, and 20, and negative 5, and you're good to go. Easy, easy, easy. Then we did some stuff where I gave you, this is probably, what I'm going to do right now is probably more like what you're going to see on the quiz. This is what I would have a tendency to put on a quiz. All right, so it'll probably take me longer to write this out than to actually do it. So A is 5317. Zach, it'd be good to see the front of your face instead of the back of your head, the whole class. So, like, face forward, okay? Because I'm going to move you. You guys said you didn't want to change your seats. I have a feeling that I am going to move you pretty soon here. Because you just can't leave good enough alone. And C is 0, 4, 3, negative 2. 0, 4, 3, negative 2. All right. So they ask you to do some things with this, all right? So like the first one is 3b, oops, that's supposed to be a b, minus a. And it says to evaluate each expression. Evaluate this expression right there. Tell me what that's equal to. All right, so what does this mean? It means we take the b, the 1, 2, -1, -3, and what do we do to it? Multiply it by the 3, and then we subtract the a from it. Okay? So really, it's just what we did before, except you're doing two things. It's all you're doing. Okay, it's the only thing different. So let's see. What's this going to be? 3, 6, -3, -9, minus 5, 3, 1, 7. And now we just subtract. So there's our multiplication, right? And now we just subtract. 3 minus 5. It's -2, right? 3 minus 5. And then 6 minus 3. What? Right, it's just subtraction, okay? It's the stuff that's in the same spot. So it's 6 minus 3. It's -3 minus 1. And then it's, why do we keep saying 5? -5 minus 7. Did I say 5? Yeah. Did I? When did I say 5? I said -3 minus 1 is 5?
No, you said negative 5 minus 7. Yes, I said that.
Oh, is that what I said? Oh, my bad. Did I do that right? Yeah, 3 minus 5, 6 minus 3, -3 minus 1, and -9 minus 7. Yeah, I did that right. So, should be good. Thanks. I'm so proud of myself. Did I have you guys do 27 to 32?
No. Wait, actually, yeah.
I think I did. Yeah, let's do one of those. That could be on there. Let's just do the first one. Nah. Let's do 29. All right. 2, 0. -1, 5. Minus, and then they got a capital X there. We're used to seeing our X's as lowercase x's, but this is a capital X. Why is it a capital X? Because it represents what? A matrix, that's right. So it's 6, -7, and 2, -3. All right, so we're doing a little bit of algebra here. We want to get X by itself. We want to find out what X is, okay? So what are we going to do first? Well, let's get rid of this matrix first, wouldn't you? Okay, how do I get rid of that matrix? Subtract it from both sides. So what I'm going to do is subtract it. And then what do I have? 2. Then you still got to subtract it. I could add the X here and subtract that. You still got to do 2 steps. It's really not that different. I mean, you could, but it still works. What is this? 2, 0, -1, 5. Okay. So I got rid of that. Well, let's do this. So this is still -x, though, isn't it? So you just got to keep that in mind. I'm just going to do that at the end. All right, so let's do this. 6 minus 2, and then -1 minus, is that a 1 or a 7? 7. -1 or 7 minus 0 is -7. 2 minus -1 is 2 plus 1. 3. -3 minus 5 is -8. Is that right? Now, this is a negative out in front. How am I going to get that to be a positive? Yeah, just multiply everything in here by a -1. All right, so this is going to be -4, 7, -3, 8. That should be right. Let me just double check. 29, 4, -7, Oh, I messed up somewhere. No, I didn't. I'm looking at the wrong thing. Nope, that's right. Yep. There we go. So that is correct. I mean, you could have added an X and then subtracted this, but you still have to add the X. That's a step, whereas right here, just change the sign. That was a pretty easy step. So either way you do it, it should be fine. We good? All right. Well, that's pretty much it for 4.2. Then 4.3, I'm just going to go through and kind of show you when do we get out of here. 5 after? All right, so it's getting close. So we don't. It took too much time to review today. I should have started a new lesson. I should have reviewed for like 10 minutes and then started a new lesson is what I should have done. I'm not really going to go over these because we just went over them in class, okay? And I asked you if you had any questions on it, and you only asked me 2 questions. So I'm not going to really go over it. But what I'm looking at is I probably will give you one where it says show the dimensions of it. So this is multiplying. So this is 4.3. This is multiplying matrices. So let's just do 0, 1, 9, 7, 3, 2. And if I was going to multiply that by 9, 6, 1, 3, and 0, 8. Now, you don't actually, on this particular problem, you don't actually have to multiply it together. It just says determine the dimensions. All right, so don't go, if they just ask for the dimensions, if I ask for the dimensions, don't go through and multiply the whole thing together. You don't need to do that. Just tell me the dimensions. First of all, what are the dimensions for the first one? 2 by 3. And what's the dimensions on this one? 3 by 2. Okay, first of all, you got to see if you can multiply them together to begin with. How do you know if you can multiply them together? Yeah, if this column and this row are the same, if these 2 numbers are the same, then yes, you can multiply them together. Because you can't multiply any 2 random matrices together. They have to fit a certain form. All right, so this has to be true. So what is the dimensions of the answer to this? It's a 2 by 2. Okay, so this one and this one tells you your dimensions of the answer. So your answer will be a 2 by 2 matrix. So I might have one question like that on the quiz. Maybe. I don't know. It just depends. Might want to give you a few of these. I'll definitely give you, well, definitely, I don't know. We'll say probably. I'll give you one where you have to set up a matrix because in the next lesson, we're actually going to learn a way to solve for x and y using matrices. We're not doing it on this quiz, but it's good to be able to set them up. Okay? So if I wanted to write this, and the question says, what's it say? Write each system as a matrix equation. A matrix equation. We kind of did this when you were asking questions earlier today. So just make sure these are in, take the coefficients. So 3 and 4. Take this one, 2 and what? -2. And that's being multiplied by, each one of these is being multiplied by x and a y, right? So I got an x and a y right here. And what does it equal? It equals these 2 right here, 7 and 4. So once you set it up like this, you are ready. Oops, it's not divided by 4. What am I doing? 7, 4. It's a matrix. Okay? So this is the matrix equation. It's pretty simple. Would you agree? The 3 and 4 right there, the 2 and the -2, the x and the y, the 7 and the 4. And then that's your matrix equation. And then I'll ask you to multiply some matrices together. And again, we're running out of time, but just know how to multiply them together. Remember how to do that? Right? So you go cross here, cross here, down here, and so on. All right? If you look at that, isn't that the same thing? Look, 3x plus 4y, and then 2x minus 2y. Yeah, so that's why you set it up like that, because it works. Okay? And yeah, the stuff that we just talked about today when we reviewed that homework, that's going to be from 4.3. What do you think? Should be easy, shouldn't it? Yeah, it shouldn't be too hard. All right, so that quiz is tomorrow. And again, what's it cover? 4.1 to 4.3. We good? All right.